Hello, 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 and welcome to Blossoming Word Specialist Segment. This is our specialist segment, and I am Miss Nolia, your host of Blossoming Word. And here we are all about sharing good news to help us to learn and grow in a strong and healthy way. Today, our topic is early literacy and the benefits of reading aloud. And we have a very special guest with us today and her specialty is early literacy. She's going to be on with us in just a moment. We're going to see if we can get her on in just a moment, but I want you to know that she is the executive director of early childhood, and her name is Miss Shenoa Warren. So let's see if we can get Mrs. Shenoa Warren on with us. Okay, just a moment here. Get that music off. How exciting. Uh-oh, here she is. Hello, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Awesome. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, and thank you for being with us here on Blossoming Word Specialist segment, Miss Shenoa.
Thank you.
So what we'd like to do is just start off with you and get right on into it. Can you go ahead and just share with us some information or some facts concerning early literacy and children, learning to read and so forth?
Yes, early literacy is so important because it sets the foundation for building a strong literacy foundation for children early as pregnant women when they have their babies in their womb. And so, what we want parents to know is that when a mother is pregnant with her child, she can start reading to that baby while she's pregnant. She can start singing to the baby and asking the baby questions. It's just good for that baby to hear some good oral language. And therefore, when she has and gives birth to the baby, she can continue to read to the baby outside the wound, even when a baby is a few weeks old up until they get into kindergarten. And oral language is so important, and it helps children to hear those correct sounds, and then they'll be able to put those correct sounds into letters, and then letters into sight words, and then sight words into sentences and phrases, and then paragraphs.
Oh, that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Let me just ask a little bit concerning the importance of reading to pre-K. What are some tips that we need to keep in mind for reading aloud to early childhood?
Oh, some tips are to have those pre-reading strategies. And some of those pre-reading strategies can include with having predictions before they read the story, asking, what do you think the story is going to be about? And then taking a little walkthrough through the story, having a child to look at the pictures and have them to guess who could be the main character. What do you think is going to happen? And so that's all in the prediction. And so then when they start to read, the child can see if their predictions are right and praise them if they get them right. And of course, just kind of have that good foundation of understanding. And then ask them, what do you think is going to be the problem of the story? How do you think it's going to be solved? Because that's all of those important comprehension of comprehending the story really well.
That's awesome. What about in selecting a book and selecting the book to read to children? Does it matter the length of time reading a book to early childhood?
Well, when they're young, because their attention span is so short, you want to get something that's really fun. Say, for instance, if they're a baby, something that has to do with rhyming words, some songs that are really fun for them to hear. That alliteration, like brown bear, that's the bus sound. And so then the brown bear says roar, and so you can do all those little things like roar, have the facial gestures, your hands to make it just come to life, make those words come to life. But then as they become older, allow them to select, and just have simple little libraries and books in a basket in your child's room, and they can go to them and pick them out because you already reading to them. And sometimes they may go to one book in particular that they just love. Continue to read it as much as you can over and over. They never get tired of hearing, especially the ones that they like.
That's so good to know. I wanted to definitely mention, Miss Shenoa, we actually have coming next month uh, um, a marathon, as we call it, Men March to Mediate Protesting Illiteracy. And we will have a special guest that will read Friday, Saturday, and Sunday every weekend of the month of March. And so, with that being said, I'm hoping that my future guest readers that will be coming on will know, if they have a character, put themselves, like you said, into some of the animation things, like the cat says meow, whatever. And I know that might be kind of interesting for our men readers to do, but I just think it's wonderful that we're going to have them to come aboard to help us, because reportcard.com unfortunately has statistics that has shown us that when it comes to boys in particular, by the time they reach the 8th grade, there's such a high level of literacy. I mean, it's like only 15% of 8th grade boys are reading on their proficiency level, especially in the Black culture. And so I just think that it's so important having you on this panel with us today to help share some of the benefits of early literacy. So what do you think about the continual story time that we'll be having for next month? Do you feel that that would also be something to kind of help change the narrative of children being able to hear stories being read over and over again out loud?
Absolutely. So, with older boys, especially when you think about the middle school age, that 8th grade group, is important to target topics that are relevant to them, topics that they can identify with. And so sometimes those topics may be something that will capture their attention and keep it. And so, and then asking them, how does whatever topic they select, how does it relate to you? And that's that text to text, text to text, text to self, text to the world. And so getting them connected to the text in that sense. And if they're struggling reading, then break it into chunks because we want them to feel successful. So having a little short, meaningful piece of it. But if they're ready to read a full chapters, then of course go from there. But identifying what do they like to read? What topic is of interest to them? That's the key for older children.
That's awesome. I'm listening very attentively to what you're saying, and I hope that you are too, audience, because that's very important. I think that if we do keep the key in mind of engaging and relative to older readers, that would definitely keep them, connected to wanting to read. So that's awesome as well. And once again, we're so excited to have you with us. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to ask you, Ms. Shenoa, before you go. Let's see here. I saw where you shared about the brain continues to develop at the age of 4.
Yes.
Can you
And
tell?
that's why it's so important in early literacy because we have a unique opportunity to help shape and form how that brain. And so that's why having children to understand the sounds that a letter makes is important because then they can manipulate those sounds. Because English is one of the hardest and most difficult language to understand. We have the achafalaya. Who would have guessed? How do you break that up into the sounds? Achafalaya. So when you think about it and then you think about putting those sounds into letters, it has nothing to do with how it sounds. But
Wow.
then we have to learn how to spell those letters because we have certain blends. We have the consonant vowel patterns. It's so much that goes into learning how to read before we actually start reading the words. We have to learn the sounds, then we have to learn the vowel patterns, and then how to put those together. So it's a progression of skills. And once a child understands that, they can be successful in reading and reading for life.
Awesome. And another thing that I was hearing clearly as you said that too, uh, is the reading helps to develop the vocabulary.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank
It does. And it's so important that parents are using those vocabulary words with their children. Even when they come home, use that vocabulary word with them throughout the week as they're in the car driving, exposing them to other words, different types of synonyms, and what is the opposite of that word meaning, just to kind of bring those words to life and from the classroom into the home environment.
Awesome. Well, I thank you again, Shenoa, for being with us today. You have definitely shared good news with us to help us learn and grow in a very strong and healthy way. And we just appreciate you taking your time to connect and share those nuggets with us.
Thank you so much.
Well, guys, we're going to see you next time. And as I said before, starting in March, we'll have March to create and to protest illiteracy. And we're looking forward to seeing you then. And thank you again, Ms. Shenoa. And we'll see you all next time and have a great.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.